This is the Higher Power Radio Show with Rick Girard.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Higher Power Radio Show. My name is Rick Girard. I'm your host. Today we're going to develop a founder's story. We're talking about kind of the first hiring pains and a unique culture that was developed in and around a baseball theme. Our mission of the show is to provide solutions to the most difficult hiring challenges and to secure the best talent to ensure your company's success. Today our guest is Ferrel, chairman, founder, and coach of Managed Solution in San Diego. Sean founded Managed Solution in 2002. He recognized the need for consultative IT services for small to medium-sized businesses, and with little capital, he and his dedicated team grew the company organically to success. Within 3 years, the company was recognized as one of San Diego's 40 fastest growing companies and awarded one of 40 of the owners under 40 and recognized as the 27th fastest growing IT company in Southern California. So with that, I'd like to extend a big higher power welcome to the show, Sean Ferrel. Sean, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks for calling in. I know that your time is valuable, so I totally appreciate the call.
Absolutely.
So 2 things I want to cover with you today. You have a really unique story, which when you and I talked last week, it was pretty impressive. I'd like to talk about, your kind of initial growth and how you grew the company, and then I want to talk about your unique culture. So
Sure.
First off, let's kind of hop into, tell our audience a little bit of a story about the most difficult hiring challenge you had when you first started building your company.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, as probably entrepreneurs and I guess new business owners know, there's sort of 3 things you always have to deal with in starting a new business. It's people, process, partnerships. And, the biggest challenge for us originally was obviously hiring people. And some of that came along with, just the financial needs in the company,
Sure.
or means that the company had at the time. As you can imagine, most companies start out small. There's an entrepreneurial spirit that sits behind that with a great vision. And oftentimes the CEO or the new leader in the company is out there, doing most of the work, his or herself. So when we first started, back 15 years ago was now, one of the things that, I was out there doing was didn't really have a hiring recruitment process, didn't have a lot of the tools that are, nowadays all electronic, hadn't read enough books, you could say, about, the best way to go out and find what they call the A players.
So you were winging it like most people do, right?
We were big time.
All right.
You hired who you liked, who at the time you thought was going to fit well with you and personality styles. But the reality was, when you talk about mistakes I originally made, I'd say some of the biggest ones were just, I hired a lot of friends and, even some family members. Not that, the family was a mistake, nor were the friends. Just it was what I could afford, and, they were somebody who I trusted. But, along the way, a lot of those personal relationships can have a disagreement, or there was some controversy over a decision that was being made. They had to realize, this was for the good of the business, and sometimes that turned into a sticky situation. I wouldn't say it ever got confrontational, and, we just found out they weren't the right fit. So, those mistakes I made were just hiring too fast, and, the old saying, hire slow. I hate to say the word fire fast, but we needed to take a step back and really investigate what it was we needed, and not just go out and find the friend of a friend or somebody who said they knew somebody who was, really neat or cool, and make sure we were hiring the right people.
Yeah, and that's something that I notice happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, is that they have that need, and that need overwhelms their ability to reason, right? Is this person, they don't ask the right questions of, is this person the right person for our company? And so,
Absolutely.
So at what point, so you did the typical thing where you hired a few people. At what point did you make the conscious decision that, hey, look, we really need to drill down on this and figure out who are the right people for us?
Yeah, sure. I was recommended a long time ago by a couple of peers. There was a great book called The E-Myth for a lot of entrepreneurs and people new in business who haven't read it. It talks about sort of being really good at something. In this case, it's a book about a lady who actually bakes pies, and she's amazing at doing it.
Yeah,
and then slowly but surely, it's a great book, and I recommend it to anybody who's starting a business. But very quickly, that person realizes, I don't have much time to bake pies anymore because I have people coming into my store to buy them. At the end of the day, I got to do the accounting, and I also have to become sort of the salesperson now for the business. So I'm not enjoying what I did or what I do anymore. And so then you start to realize, well, what do I need to surround myself with? And that's when you start to look at, building a dynamic of people that that complement your skills and allow you to do what you're really great at.
Okay. Now, do you mind sharing a story of kind of what the worst hiring decision was?
Yeah, sure.
You don't have to mention any names. We'll call it.
Names? No.
We'll call it Person X.
Yeah. So I'd say it was about 13 years ago. We're in the world of IT services. So simply put, we outsource and manage a lot of people's IT for them.
Sure.
Back when, we at the time had a lot of customers coming on board, and we were looking for somebody to really support them from a technology or just technical perspective. I looked at a great, what I thought, resume, where they came from some very large companies who we all are very familiar with today that have grown quite a bit. And I said, wow, their resume really reads well. I mean, they've been at these companies for 3 to 5 years, and they've been in the industry forever, and they have the skill sets that we were looking for in terms of the technical skill set. Well, when we hired them, we quickly found out that the work ethic of that person, they were great at solving the day-to-day technical skills of our customers, but they weren't actually great with the customer service perspective of the skill set we needed, where they would go in, fix something, leave, and the customer would say, well, what was the outcome? What ended up happening? And so we found ourselves with a communication gap. So when we challenged the person, they looked at us and said, I'm here to fix technical stuff, not to provide customer service. And what I quickly realized in our business was, that's what we are. There's two walks of life in the world of business. There's product, there's services. We were a services company. So the 50%, which this person was missing, was their ability to really work with the customer and communicate back and forth as to what was being done and really help them better understand how to leverage the technology and, walk out of the place with a good reputation. And it actually caused some frustration amongst a bunch of our new clients.
Oh, I'm sure. Now, I totally get where you're coming from on that one. Was there any evidence in the interview process that would suggest otherwise, that maybe you guys missed?
Yeah, in our world, and I'm sure in a lot of people's world, they forget to spend time really dissecting before they actually put a posting online, on these different job sites, what it is they're specifically looking for. I mean, really looking at themselves as a person, say the entrepreneur, and saying, what do I need to complement my skill set? What can I handle? What do I need that I don't do well? Mm-hmm. In addition to, what is the core focus of what it is I'm looking for? So back then, it was all about technical skill sets. So we didn't ask for the things in the resume or in the job description that asked for things like great attention to customer sat or, able to, been in different places where they've done different types of communications training. We didn't look for those type of things when we put together the job description. And so when I look back and, why I made that mistake, I look back at just, doing better preparation and just building out the right job role, or we call it nowadays job objective that we wanted this person to accomplish. It was so important. And now, bring it, current day, we spend almost a week going back and forth with what the real objective of the job is to make sure we identify the right candidate.
Absolutely. Hey, those growing pains are essential, right, in growing that. Now, was your culture, in which we'll talk about in the second half program, was that actually established at this point, or was it something you guys brought in a little bit later?
No, and for any entrepreneur, I wouldn't feel bad if you tell me you're chasing your tail at all times, or you're sort of a bull in a china shop. I mean, our job as entrepreneurs is to both drive the business vision forward and also to be what I call the producer, the high P, meaning get out there in front of the potential customer and be the visionary for them and help them understand what it is you deliver. And so taking time to go out and, recruit and find the next set of people is never easy to do. Yeah.
Any hires that you had that surprised you in the beginning? I mean, maybe they have a funny story to them, or they were kind of like, wow, I can't believe we got this guy.
Yeah, so Actually, I mean, it was an interesting one. She's still with me today. She's been with me for about 14 years. It was funny, and I'm sure a lot of us have heard find the right seat on the bus for a person and coach a person up or coach them out. Those are a lot of great terms I think people use in the industry as they're trying to manage great people in their organization, or as I would say, lead.
Mm-hmm.
We hired a gal who actually came from a organic biochemistry background. She graduated from school. And somehow, some way, she said, I really want to get into sales and do it in the technology industry. So I, actually brought her down from Oregon State, and she came into California and said, I really want to do technology sales. We quickly realized, I think it was about a couple months into the job, she said to me one day, salespeople don't have to actually call people, right, and get meetings and all that. Can't they just email and people will just set up a meeting? And I said, unfortunately, that's just part of the world of sales. So what we found is I looked again back to, I had to look at what I was good at and what other people around me needed to look like. I found that she actually enjoyed some of the financial stuff that went on within the company. So she also enjoyed some of the procurement of new computers and PCs. So we brought her in to start doing that, and we trained her up, and she actually ended up becoming our director of procurement and operations for 8 or 9 years during the first 10 of the company.
Oh wow, fantastic. So we're talking to Sean Ferrel, chairman and founder of Managed Solution in San Diego. We've been talking about kind of the first growing steps of building your company. And when we come back, we're going to talk about a really unique culture that you've put into place. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, giving you access to recruiting techniques that will help you hire key talent to build your company towards real success. Rick is a recruiting executive and entrepreneur who's been successfully recruiting in the aggressive Silicon Valley technology landscape for the past 2 decades. After a very successful stint at Apogee, he founded Stride Search in 2012. Based on a lean efficiency model, Stride has uniquely positioned itself as a leader in retained search for the most critical talent hires within a small organization. Whether you're a startup executive or recruiting professional, by listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard, you will walk away with skills to help you attract and hire great talent. Now back to Higher Power with Rick Girard.
And welcome back to the Higher Power Radio Show. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and we're talking to Sean Ferrel, chairman, founder, coach of Managed Solution. You guys actually cover, I'm sorry, before the break I said San Diego, but you guys cover most of Southern California, correct?
Yeah, we have locations in Southern California, and then we have customers all over the globe.
Oh, excellent. All right, so now that we've kind of learned, and by the way, thank you for sharing some of the mistakes. So hopefully some people in our community can learn from them and not repeat the same mistakes. But, the hiring friends one, unfortunately, most of us will probably do that over and over again, I would imagine. So I want to talk a little bit about your unique culture that you've built at Managed Solutions. Tell us a little bit about that and how that came about.
Yes. There's a lot of good peer advice out there and people you talk to and, how to run a business as you're a young entrepreneur or business owner. And the one thing I would say is that books are invaluable, and there's been a lot of great books published over the last, 15, 20 years, even with, sort of, I would say, the new evolution of business, because business has changed quite a bit.
Sure.
Books like Good to Great, or there's a great book called Growth Mindset that was written by a gal named Carol Dweck that's just re-talked about by Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. But, what we all will find out at some time or another is that culture trumps all in business. It is the foundation that allows us to sort of build the house on top of, whatever it is, we're working on the side of the business. So one of the things that I realized a long time ago was that, I used to have employees tell me, Sean, when you're not in the office, it's a different place. And it kind of came to me that, you are your brand. I mean, you represent not only the people who buy from you, your customers, but you also represent the people within, and they get behind, the way in which you show up at work every day, present yourself, all of those good things. So one of the things that is always challenging with culture and is trying to understand, what works for you. And, obviously everybody's got a different sort of spin on how culture comes to be. So one of the cool things that, I came up with, I don't know, it was probably 8 or 9 years ago, is we really got into driving culture forward. I mean, that was the foundation of everything. We kind of got away from the traditional mission, vision, that kind of stuff. And what I said is, I want to kind of play this culture. I'm going to build it like we're a sports team. And so, you didn't have to like any specific type of sport, but we built it like it was a baseball team. So we took myself, and I considered myself a coach to the team, explained to them that I can only help drive forward whatever the plays are going to be in the next game we play. And then you guys, as my players, are going to be the ones making our fans, the customers, really excited about, what it is we're doing and providing that great level, those high levels of customer support.
Now, what made you choose baseball, by the way?
Well, I did, had a little stint there in college, like many of the dreamers. I wanted to get out there and maybe play one day. But anyway, for what it is, didn't make that, and I ended up in the technology world, believe it or not. So
you landed in the right place, right?
I did. It's a progressive place to be, and I've loved it every day since I started.
Amen.
But we, what we did was we said to ourselves, we actually, in our conference room, if you ever come to our office, you'll see we have a thing that's called the Managed Solutions Stadium. It's a full baseball field, a diamond that we put up on the wall. And, one of the things we wanted to do was help every single one of our players, our employees, understand how they play the game. So first base, we have what we call our daily huddles or our team meetings, like you would in any baseball team or a football team. Second base, you actually, as a player in our company, an employee, get a baseball card. It gets sent to you once a month with all of your stats, if you will. Year records in league, that's a lot to do with our certification process. Years in league, the longer you've worked with us, and for me, the more you should, participate in the rewards, the bonuses, and all that stuff in the company. And then our third base is kind of like when you go to a baseball game. Are you in the nosebleed, or are you that guy who has season tickets? So the longer you're with us, the more you play in our, with our team, the more you're entitled to 401ks and profit shares and all that good stuff in the company. And then our home plate, we call it our did we win or did we lose every month. So there's 12 months in every year, and obviously we profit or we have a loss, and, we say, did we win or did we lose? And the big thing for our company, the big thing I think every company should implement is a way to be transparent with your employees and show them what's happening in the business, celebrate the wins, understand what the losses are, and figure out how to come together and continually drive towards that higher purpose. And so we have this whole stadium created around it. We have home run derbies. We have all types of fun events that are all correlated back to how we do day-to-day business.
And that is very cool. I think it's very unique. I haven't seen somebody take a sports approach to it. So hey, kudos for creativity on that one.
Oh,
so how does the baseball theme then transfer over into your interview process?
Sure, yes. So we actually take and let our players, our actual employees in the different areas of the organization, before we go out to any hire, we actually have changed what we even used to call, I guess, in the world, a job description.
Sure.
We actually have them create job objectives. So if you're in our help desk, for example, or you're one of our senior architects, we have them create the different objectives for the job based upon what they see in the day-to-day, playing field, I guess you could say, with our customers.
Now, is that actually based on the work that's going to be that they need to do when they start, or is it just what needs to be achieved on a goals perspective?
It's a goals perspective.
Okay.
It's what kind of goals do we have set? How skill set wise. One of the things we have to do is we have to keep our employees highly certified, so they have to go through our what we call home run derby process.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a ranking system that for you to move up, and we do believe in internal growth. For you to move up through the organization and get to that next level, you need to actually work through our home run derby process and achieve these certifications along the way. Of course, accelerating your progression in the company, and that comes with obviously salary increases and all that good stuff. But
nice.
It gives them a nice roadmap to grow their career.
Got it. And so now so you've created these objectives. Now, how do you walk me through your interview process and how it might be a little how that correlates?
Like I said at the beginning, the old hire slow, fire fast. It's
Sure.
definitely something where you have to create what we call a job objective and some of those different descriptions. We kind of, if you guys are familiar with the movie James Bond, we actually, or Mission Impossible, we actually ask in our job descriptions or objectives, are you willing to take on this mission? And the mission is then the different descriptives about what it is we need them to do, both skill set and then more so communication. That runs through traditionally the hiring manager, and when you're small, that usually is yourself. So
Sure.
You have to make sure that you know what it is you're looking to complement your skills. And then from there, we use, depending on, what type of role we're hiring for. If it's sales, there's different what we consider job boards that are more curtailed to finding great sellers. And if it's, if it's an engineer, we might go out to the traditional Craigslist type, offerings. But the best way to resource employees, aside from hiring your friends and family, like we talked about in the beginning, is to hire from within and find, and create referral programs for your employees that allow them to bring in people they know who are in the field, because that's just a great PR strategy for your company, and typically they're going to bring you good people that stay with the company for a long time.
And that should be 70 to 90% of the people that you hire should come through internal referrals if you're doing things
Absolutely.
right. Yeah,
we measure it every year. Yep.
Where do you? So okay, you can measure it every year. Where do you guys sit?
Yeah, so we measure internal recruitment every year from our own employees. We're at about 80% of our employees that are being hired from someone that we know from the outside, so referral-based. And then on top of that, we also compare that against the retention rate of the employees we found from the outside and then employees that were brought in from within. And what we found is that if your people can bring you their, people they know through referrals, they're also going to stay longer as well. So we have a 94% retention rate, and that's why we pay a lot of money for people to bring in their friends and different referrals that they have out there to work for us, because these people stick around, and it also creates a great culture because they've worked together before, or they know that they're going to be like-minded in their way in which they go to work every day.
Gotcha. Now, what traits do you guys look for in an individual to help you determine whether or not somebody's the right player for an organization?
Sure. Yeah, there's three traits we always inherently look for in every single human being we're hiring. That is humility, genuine curiosity, and then, of course, the third one we are always looking for is their ability to communicate and have intuition when doing it. I mean, I can't tell you enough how, people need to be able to pivot in life in the middle of a conversation, whether it's in sales or engineering, and be able to go with the conversation and make sure that they're great listeners. And so having intuition is just critical.
Absolutely. So the three takeaways here are, again, what were those three things that you just said? Great
intuition alongside of communication skills.
Sure.
What we call great, just having humility, being able to, let people have fun with you, poke fun at each other, just really, I think it allows people to kind of dig deeper into each other's skill sets and personality styles and just enjoy each other's company in the business, because business is our third home. I mean, we're either at our houses doing our day-to-day stuff with our families, or we're in the business, or we're typically at a Starbucks, I guess you could say. But that third home, you want to make it a place where people want to come and enjoy themselves. So humility is a big one. Humbleness is another one. And then I said the third one was curiosity. We just like people who are curious and want to listen and hear what the other person has to say.
So it's more of an intellectual curiosity then.
Correct.
All right. Excellent. So we're almost out of time for today's show. Sean, thanks again for your time investment, and welcome to the Higher Power Radio community. Now, if somebody's interested in Managed Solution, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. It's actually Managed Solution, singular, no S at the end. I haven't got that website yet, .com, or we're just 800 number away, but ManagedSolution.com is the easiest way, and we'll always have to help.
Absolutely. And if somebody would like to reach you, is there a way to reach you as well?
Sure. My email is Ferrel, Ferrel, at ManagedSolution.com. And again, if you just dial in, we have an actual phone system that talks to you. You can just say my name, and it'll bring you right to me.
Excellent. Okay. So thank you to our listening audience for tuning in to this week's episode of Higher Power. Quick shout out to our team. We have our engineer, Paul Roberts, our producers, Andrea Ballin, Haley Stern, Shanti Ryle. To listen to this show and any past episodes, you can check us out on higherpowerradio.com or follow me on Twitter, Facebook at _Rick Girard. For the latest insights in the show, higherpowerradio.com. Tune in next week as our guest will be John Crittenden, digital wealth platform specialist and founder of Mondiggy. I'm your host, Rick Girard, and you have been listening to the Higher Power Radio Show. Aloha.
Thank you for listening to Higher Power with Rick Girard on OC Talk Radio.
It's time for more insights from Sandler Training. Here are some ideas on beating procrastination. Do what you hate first. The least enjoyable tasks should be done early when you're most energetic. For example, the buyer you'd rather not call should be at the top of your list. The accountability contract. A daily